हरि जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि मुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा वरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे राधा माधव राधे जय राधा माधव हे राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल श्री श्री राधा महादेव की जय श्री राधा गोविंद जी की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी की जय चला प्रभुपाद की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiryat. Shruvantam Swakatha Krishna Punye Sarvanam Kirtanam Hridayantah Hai Abhadrani Vidunoti Sute Satam. नष्टप्रयासु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mada Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasdev, the Vatha, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the fruitful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, everyone. A reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita. Almost at once, the situation became intolerable for Eva. She resented the Swami's presence in her home. She was a feminist, a liberated white woman with a black husband and a good job. She didn't like the Swami's views on women. She hadn't read his books or attended his classes, but she had heard that he was opposed to sexual intercourse except for conceiving children, and that in his view, a woman was supposed to be shy and chaste, and and help her husband in his spiritual life. She knew about the Swami's four rules: no meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, or gambling. And she definitely did not want Karl's Swami trying to change their ways to suit his. And he had better not expect her to wait on him as seek his advice. Hang on. Wait on him as his servant. She sensed the Swami objecting to almost everything she did. If she were to seek his advice, he would probably ask her to stop taking drugs, get rid of the cats and dogs, stop drinking, and stop contraceptive sex. If the Swami had his way, they would probably eat only at certain times and only certain foods. Eva was a heavy smoker, so he probably wouldn't like being around her. She was ready for a confrontation. But Prabhupada was not one to make intolerant demands while living in another's home. He kept to his allotted corner of the loft, and he made no demands or criticisms. Hadn't he seen his host in Butler eating meat and only remarked, "Think nothing of it." Nevertheless, his imposing spiritual presence made Eva sorry Karl had ever met him. To Eva, the Swami was an inimical force, and she, being candid and independent, let him know. As soon as he asked whether she could bring him something, she replied, "Get it yourself." Carol Becker saw the situation as being extremely uncomfortable and tense. Eva was quite resentful. Eva complained to Carol. Here she was paying rent for the lot, working hard, and this man was trying to change their way of life. Carol. Eva couldn't handle his teachings and she couldn't handle his influence over Carl. She didn't feel so constrained, but she felt that Swamiji was making Carl feel constrained. This was Eva's main objection. The Swami was influencing Carl. Her relationship with Carl had only recently begun, and Carl was aware that she needed much of his time. He agreed with his wife, yet he couldn't refuse the Swami. He was interested in Indian music, poetry, and religions, and he was a living authority, vastly knowledgeable in all facets of Indian culture. Right in his home, Prabhupada would cook his meals in their kitchen, and right away, Carl would be there, eager to learn the art of Indian cuisine. Carl also wanted the Swami to show him how to play the drum. They would have long talks together. Okay, let me get. Oh, is it gone? Let me get my Bhagavatam. Lost it.
Guruji, do you want me to help you on that,
No,
or
let me sort this out.
okay? Thank you, Guru.
I'm there. Just give me a second. There we are. Got it? Can you see?
Yes, Prabhu.
Good. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, text, chapter 24, text 75. Chapter 24 is chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Text 75. श्रियेषां यः सर्वेषां ज्ञानं निःश्रेयसं परं सुखं तत्रत्यै दुष्पारं ज्ञानं नवरवेशनार्णवम् श्रियेषां यः सर्वेषां ज्ञानं निःश्रेयसां परं सुखं तरते दुष्पारं ज्ञानं न Vayasanaranavam. Yes, please, somebody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I am trying.
Yeah.
Shreyashamiha sarvesham jnanam nishreyasham param sukham taroti dushparam jnanor navam. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Who else is there?
হরে কৃষ্ণ প্রভুজি ধন্যবাদ
Yeah,
প্রণাম
Mataji. Sure.
শ্রেয়সামিহ সর্বেষাং জ্ঞানম নিশ্চেয়সম পরম সুখম তরতি দুষ্পারম জ্ঞান নৈর্ব্যসনার নবম হরে কৃষ্ণ
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I try?
Yes.
Shreyasham iha sarvesham jnanam nishreyasham param sukham tarati dushparam jnananor navam.
Thank you. Dr. Ji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Please, please.
Shreyasham iha sarvesham jnanam niha shreyasam param sukham tarati param jnanaur vyasanarnavam.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Anybody else with us? Roger, Nanbraj Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I can do the synonyms, Prabhu.
Sorry?
Can I do the synonyms?
Yeah.
Synonyms, Srila Prabhupada. Share some of all benediction, iha, in this world, sarvesam, of every person, jnananam, knowledge, nihistriyasam, the supreme benefit, param, transcendental, sukham, happiness, tarati, across, crosses over, dusparam, insurmountable, jnana, knowledge, know about vyasana, danger, and earth, arnavam, the ocean. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Translation in Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this material world, there are different types of achievements, but all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impassable. Actually, everyone is suffering. This is purpose. Actually, everyone is suffering within this material world due to ignorance. Every day we see that a person without knowledge commits some criminal act and is later arrested and punished, despite the fact that he actually may not have been conscious of his sinful activity. Such ignorance prevails throughout the world. People do not consider how they are risking their lives in an attempt to have illicit sex life, kill animals to satisfy their tongue, enjoy intoxication, and gamble. It is very regrettable that the leaders of the world do not know of the effects of these sinful activities. They are interested, they are instead taking things very easily and are succeeding in making the ocean of nations wider and wider. Opposed to such ignorance, full knowledge is the greatest achievement within this material world. We can practically see that one who has sufficient knowledge is saved from many dangerous pitfalls in life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19, Bahunam Janamnam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyati. When one actually becomes wise, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlava. Such a great soul is very rarely to be found. This Krishna conscious movement is determined to open wide the eyes of the so-called leaders who are full of ignorance and thus save them from the material pitfalls and dangerous conditions of life. The greatest danger is the danger of getting a body lower than that of a human being. It was with great difficulty that we attained this human form of life just to take advantage of this body and reestablish our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Lord Shiva advises, however, that those who take advantage of his prayers will very soon become devotees of Lord Vasudeva and thus will be able to cross the ocean of nescience and make life perfect. Great. Sriyesam yeha sarvesham jnanam nisriyesham param sukham tarati dusparam jnanam navarave sanaro navam. In this material world, They are different types of achievement, but of all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impassable. This is Lord Shiva telling the princesses. After telling them the prayer, is now in the last sloka, he told that just by reciting this prayer, one can achieve the devotion of Vasudeva, Lord Sri Krishna. And now he's telling us that of all the types of achievement, knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of missions only on the boat of knowledge. Now, can we switch on our videos? Keep muted, but so that I can see people. Everybody, please. Yeah, good. Where are the others? Everyone, please switch on your videos, but you stay muted. You unmute when you want to talk. Abhicharan Prabhu, Devapam Goswami, Prabhu, Dr. C, yeah, good. Devapam Prabhu, Prakash, Niraj, turn on your videos, please, if you are there. Okay, let me continue. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Loknath Swaminiti Name Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvisese Sunyavadi Paschad Destarane Muk Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuramitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapada Kamlam Sri Guru and Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Radyata Sri Vishakhan Yutam Cha Vanchakalpatrubhayascha Kripa Sindhu Cha Patitanam Pavan Bhayo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, everyone. I'd like to have a bit of discussion. What type of knowledge is Lord Shiva talking about here? Knowledge that will take us out of the ocean of nescience, out of the ocean of ignorance. So what can somebody throw some light on what type of knowledge is Lord Shiva talking about?
He's talking about the transcendental knowledge, Prabhuji.
Lord Srila Prabhupada tells us the knowledge that we get from our schooling, universities, and other, he calls speculative knowledge or imperfect knowledge. So, what is perfect knowledge?
Anything related to the absolute truth about Supreme Personality of Godhead and
Yes, exactly. That's perfect knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada also tells us that perfect knowledge is also knowing the knowledge, my constitutional position is to save. And that's one also mentioned the absolute or the transcendental knowledge of knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Srila Prabhupada starts off with knowing our constitutional position. What position to save? So who do we save? Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Next is, what is the source of our perfect knowledge? Prabhupada calls this knowing that we are servant of God, a servant of Krishna. But where do we get this knowledge from?
Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Guru
Yes,
Parampara.
where do the Guru get the knowledge from?
We get it from the Shastra, where it is, and it comes from the Lord. That Lord says that.
What is the Shastra, the specific Shastra?
Every Shastra, I mean, even Bhagavad Gita, Mama Evangshu Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuto
What's
Sanatana.
the general term for it?
Vedic scriptures.
Yes, Vedic scripture. Srila Prabhupada says the Veda means perfect knowledge. The word Veda means perfect knowledge. Vedic process is receiving knowledge from Krishna directly. You mentioned all that, but we don't have exact, direct contact with Lord Krishna. So we go through the knowledge, through the Guru Parampara. The Vedic knowledge is knowledge from Krishna. The supreme perfect gives perfect knowledge, because Lord Krishna is the supreme perfect. There's no one more perfect than him. And what does he give us? He gives us perfect knowledge. So remember, here Lord Shiva is talking about knowledge. That particular knowledge is perfect knowledge, knowledge of knowing Krishna, knowing our constitutional position, and the person who can give us that knowledge is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Lord Krishna. And whole chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think somebody mentioned that it comes from Bhagavad Gita. Yes, of course. I was looking for the general term, Vedas. And chapter 7 is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. And Lord Krishna in second sloka said, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asesata yaj gyatva nehe bhuyo anaj gyatvam avisesate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So this knowledge, this is why it's called perfect knowledge. Lord Krishna himself says that once we know this knowledge, there's nothing else for us to know. And Prabhupada, in his purport on this verse, this chapter 7, text 2, says that in complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma in full. So that's the process, now Krishna consciousness, this perfect knowledge, everything else falls into place. By practice of Krishna conscious yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, I'm still reading the purport of this verse, Tach Srunu, you hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfect Krishna conscious person. So direct information. And in chapter 15, text 15, he says, Vedesa chaham cha sarveham vedo vedanta Vedyo Vedanta Kridu Vedayo Chaham. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. One can, Prabhupada further says, one can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding the Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by performing different processes of services, one can approach him. And at the end, one can attain the Supreme Person. In Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll recall, I also read two of the slokas, Canto 1, chapter, second chapter, text 17 to 21, he actually tells us the process of learning the absolute truth. Was that text 17 is Srumantam Swakatha Krishna Punya Sarvanam Kirtanam Hirdayanta Stohaya Bhadrani Vidunoti Srutir Satam. The translation is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotees, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So, hearing from Krishna. And where do we hear from Krishna? The Bhagavad Gita, and about Krishna is Bhagavatam. Next chapter, text 18, Nasta Prayasya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by renderings of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, established as an irrevocable fact. 19. Tada rajasa tama bhava kama lobha daya sachaye chetaiter anavidham stitam satve prasad. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and becomes completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavata bhakti yogataha bhagavata tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangha says Jayate, text 20. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlightened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material associations. And the last sloka in that list is Bhava Vidate Hridaya Grantis Chidante Sarva Samsaya Chinante Chasya Karmani Drishta Ivatamanesvare. Thus, the knot in the heart is spaced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Realizing this, one becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. And also realizing this, that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Krishna. And this is the process summarized, and Lord Shiva gives us a very shortcut, I would say, very easy process, that if you just recite this prayer that he has given, remember going back to the prayers, each and every stanza of this was glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is the whole prayer. He was describing how the Lord looks like, what he is wearing, and how he does the creation and maintenance. So The one prayer summarizes everything, the whole of the activities of the Lord. So this is what, and the process also given in Bhagavatam. And want to know what is the perfect knowledge? Chapter 7 is there of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So it's the knowledge, the whole chapter is titled Knowledge of the Absolute. And I mentioned earlier, you also mentioned the Absolute, or the perfect person, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And from him we get perfect knowledge. And it says that after knowing this knowledge, there's nothing else to be known. So in short, that's all I've got to tell about the knowledge that Lord Shiva is talking about. He's not talking about the ordinary, everyday knowledge we acquire. He's talking about perfect knowledge, and perfect knowledge comes from the Vedas. And the Vedas are spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Srila Prabhupada says. The perfect person gives us the perfect knowledge. So that's all I have got to tell. Any comments, any questions, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for enlightening us. I was also thinking the words comes to my mind is Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmiyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives the direct perception of the self by realization, it is perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. And in the same verse, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about, for those who are engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructify in the stalk or in the form of seed, gradually vanishes, like Papa Bij and even inclination for Papa. And knowledge establishes Sambandha with the Supreme Absolute Truth. And when the Sambandha is established, then Krishna sends the Guru, and then we start following in the process. Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for enlightening us. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. You mentioned that, Prabhu. Yes, I heard that in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita tells us the knowledge of the Absolute, that tells us about the Supreme Personality. And remember, chapter 8 and 9 further explains the, remember, I keep saying this, the secret and most secret knowledge he tells us there in these 3 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much and for the very nice class, and particularly bringing out the importance of the spiritual knowledge, because only through spiritual knowledge we can get rid over the ocean of omniscience in this material world.
Just a second, Prabhu. I didn't tell you that. Lord Shiva is telling us that. I have been rereading what he has said. Don't give me the credit.
No, you have read it out. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah, I only read it out. It's not mine. And then Prabhupada further explains. So it's not, don't give me the credit. It's Srila Prabhupada and Lord Shiva goes there. I just read it. Thank you. Sorry.
It's because only through transcendental knowledge we can get rid of the ocean of omniscience, and this knowledge is free from material contamination. In this material world, whatever knowledge we get is associated with 4 defects of the human being has. So that knowledge cannot give the absolute knowledge. So absolute knowledge comes from the Lord himself, and through the parampara system and through the shastra we know it. And when because the devotees of the Lord from the parampara system, they have acquired it, they have without any change brings it to us. And if we take advantage of that, we know that what is our real constitutional position, that we are the servant of the Lord, and we are in this material world because we want to enjoy ourselves independently, which is not possible, which the Lord has told. And so if we take this knowledge and serve the Lord through devotional service, we can get rid of this ocean of materials and ocean of material nescience, and which is repeated birth and death, old age and disease, and we can get rid of them if we follow the instruction properly and serve the Lord and get the loving service and get the mercy of the Lord. We can get rid of this ocean, and that is what our parampara system says, and our Vaishnavas and other devotees of the Lord are always telling. And here Lord Shiva is telling the same thing as well, that only through this knowledge one gets the right information about the Lord and our relationship with the Lord. And in this way, by serving the Lord, we can become perfect, and we can, by becoming perfect and pure from this material contamination, we can go back to the abode of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for adding to it, but remember what Lord Shiva is saying, going back to the last sloka, text 74. Lord Shiva says, a devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. So the process that you have mentioned and I have mentioned is, Lord Shiva is giving us a shortcut here, that just by reciting this stotra, that prayer that he has given us, one can achieve everything that we are struggling to find. So he actually has given us a very simple way. Just by, he doesn't put any conditions there, just by reciting chanting this stotra with great attention, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. And then the next one, that the sloka I had read here today, it says, in this material world, there are different types of achievements, but of all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest, because one can cross the ocean of nescience only on the boat of knowledge, and otherwise the ocean is impassable. So what Lord Shiva is telling us, we should not deviate from the message of the sloka and complicate things. He's telling us, and the knowledge, he doesn't mention what is the knowledge. What Srila Prabhupada in his purpose says, is talking about perfect knowledge, not any knowledge. If you read just this is the sloka, the translation of that, it's people can get misled. It's any knowledge. No, it's not any knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that it's the knowledge of perfect knowledge, and you can get perfect knowledge from the perfect personality of Godhead, the perfect person, which is Lord Krishna. And his knowledge is there in the Vedas, all our scriptures, and through the scriptures, and of course through the Guru Parampara we can get it. So we, according to Lord Shiva, we don't have to struggle too much, just recite this sloka. That's the message. That is the message of this It's Lord Shiva. Anybody else, please? Okay, anybody?
Lord Shiva is giving direct benediction to
Yeah.
all of us who takes,
And
but very difficult to follow, Prabhu.
If you are determined, she is giving in one. See, this Srota is the prayer is almost the whole chapter, 70 or so slokas. Anybody can just pick it up and just recite that with is telling us the condition with great attention and belief in it. So,
But once we recite these shlokas, uh, to practice in our life what is there in the prayers, it becomes difficult and need your mercy and everybody's mercy.
just like when we, this is another alternative is chanting the Mahamantra. So, as you said, it's difficult to pay attention to it. So the Lord has made it much more simpler. Okay, the Sanskrit, this slokas, not everybody is efficient in chanting these slokas. So what a great alternative we've got. Just have tried 3 names, Hare Krishna and Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There's no excuse in not being able to pronounce properly and not understanding. There's nothing in it. And remember, even chanting those slokas, the prayers of Lord Shiva, you don't understand, still it will give you the benefit, same as chanting the Mahamantra, whether we understand it or not, we'll get the benefit of it. Like the example always Srila Prabhupada is given, that if you touch fire, you will get burnt, whether you do it intentionally or somebody has forced you into it, or unintentionally by accident, you still get burned. So when we chant this Lord's name, the Lord Shiva prayer he has given, or the Mahamantra, will still get the benefit. If you chant inattentively, it will take a bit longer, but the effect, the power of the Mahamantra, or the Lord's name itself will do the job. We don't have to worry about how we're going to cleanse our heart of this, mainly with devotion and belief in it. Faith is so simple. And the examples we got in history, Valmiki Rishi, he didn't even chant it correctly, still got the benefit. Okay, I have to run now. Sorry, what was that?
Thank you for reassuring and confirming the potency of the Mahamantra as well as these prayers, benediction of Lord Shiva. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. I need to go, so I have to cut it short now. Sorry. This sloka text us Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, text 75. Sriye Sham Yeh Sarve Sham Jnanam Jnananam Nisriye Sham Param Sukham Tarati Dusparam Jnanam Navara Vyasana. In this material world, this is Lord Shiva is saying, in this material world, there are different types of achievement. But of all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest, because one can cross the ocean of innocence only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impossible. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण एवरीवन। पांचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितनां पावनभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे
जय
कृष्ण।
राजपरायण प्रभु की
श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय।
जय
अनंत
Thank
कोटि
you everyone. Catch you next time.